I had this amazing moment where I was walking through what I believe is the best supermarket, at least in the United States, if not the world. And it's a place called the Berkeley Bowl in Berkeley. We lived 2 blocks from it. Yeah. And people are like, you're going to love the Berkeley Bowl. And I was like, it's a fucking supermarket. How good can it be?
Right. How exciting can it be?
Super exciting.
Wow.
I remember walking down the aisle and there were these 2 women getting stuff out of the freezer. Yeah. And I realized they're together. And I was like, man, you guys look like twins. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this is what happens. Like as you get older, you just start to look more and more like your partner. And like they just looked like twins, like same haircut, same clothes, same heavy set. And I was like, yep, this is it. Just click.
This makes sense. This makes sense.
Yeah. Totally understood.
Quiet, please.
Ironically, as I age, I'm looking more and more like my dog. Or my dog's looking more and more like me. I can't decide which one, but we've adopted the same sartorial style.
Well, he does have quite the beard now.
In 4.
He does wear the glasses.
3, 2.
Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 2, Episode 40. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Jiddle.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, we'll look at how the internet evolved into what it is today. Also, our apologies in advance for all the sports talk on this episode. I realize this is a science and tech show, but we've had a week.
Oh, not under this new administration. We are not a science and tech show. That is how you end up with a letter on your chest and a brand on your back.
Wow, is that right?
Yep, we're football.
We're football all the time?
I guess. I don't know. What is that? They use their hands in that one? They don't use their hands. I never know.
It's Use Less Stuff Day, including your hands, encouraging us to simplify our lives by reducing our material possessions. It's a day to declutter, donate, and resolve to consciously consume. Heading into one of the biggest shopping months of the year, we can all use a reminder to buy and use less stuff. Marie Kondo for the win. It's Use Less Stuff Day. I keep seeing that as Useless Stuff Day.
I mean, same, first of all. Second, this is just another example of big retail doing their thing, right? Because you have Use Less Stuff Day the week before Black Friday, which just means you clean out a bunch of shit.
So you have room.
You get rid of a bunch of stuff, and then you got room, right? And then, like any good American, every horizontal surface in your fucking house has to be covered with some trinket from China.
A void demands to be filled.
Exactly. I'm like, well, there's space right there. I mean, I'm saying this like I'm somehow above it. I am not.
Oh, sure.
It looks like if you were to take like the Smithsonian and cover it in honey and then roll it through like a Seagate factory in 1986, that's what my office looks like.
Wow.
There's just a bunch of old, like, I just have old hard drives. I have shit in here that I don't even have controller cards for.
Sure.
I don't know why I'm keeping it, but I know I'm not throwing it. Well, actually, one of them has 5 BTC on it, so I probably shouldn't throw that one away, but that's not the point. Don't, please.
You just don't know which one?
Please don't. Well, no, I've told you this. This is the Schrodinger's cat problem. I'm pretty sure I know which hard drive it is, and I'm pretty sure I know how to get it off. And there's a reasonable chance that the bits are still there. Sure. That's all the good news. The bad news is I'm also reasonably sure I have no idea what the cold wallet password is, which means that it's like Schrodinger's cat.
Once you find it.
Exactly. Then the cat is dead. If I never look into the box, I can just assume the cat may still be alive. There's no reason not to know that it's not alive.
Welcome back after our week off. I had jury duty and literally never set foot in a courthouse. I called every night dutifully, and every night they said, yeah, you not so much with the coming. How is your week going?
My week is always going great. I've got no complaints. I did my annual migration down to downtown LA to see my home team, the great Detroit Red Wings, or the once great Detroit Red Wings.
Do you go every year?
I try to go see them. I used to go a couple times a year when they played. I go see them in Anaheim. I try to make that game when I can. It was very fun to go down there and see them. They lost, which is always lovely. Sure. It's a rebuilding year. That's what we tell ourselves. And then let's see, I attended a fundraiser for my kids' school, which was really fun. Yeah. It specifically targets women apparently, which I didn't know. I don't really care. I just show up anyway because it's like shopping and they have lunch and then they drink wine. And I'm like, well, I do 2 out of those 3 things pretty well. Although now that I think about it, had they had a boutique set up with like a bunch of home automation shit,
sure, you'd be 3 for 3.
I'd be 3 for 3. I'd be the only one over there buying. Like, oh, is this matter over threads? Oh, I'll take 6 of those, please. That would be great. But they do a raffle, so it's a fundraiser for the school. So fine, you throw some money there. I bought some raffle tickets, and most of the raffle boxes were not things I was interested in. Tennis bracelets and skin creams and all this stupid shit, and some booze. But there was one box called the mystery box, and if you ever want to get money from me, just put anything in a box and just say mystery box, and I am happy.
Because you got to know what's in it.
I used to buy. Remember Woot.com before Amazon bought them? They would sell bags of crap. Sure. Literally, they called it bags of crap. The $5 bags of crap. Anytime I'm like, yeah, I'll throw $10 at that. Of course I will. Why not? Yeah. That's why I need more junk in my life. Because after Useless Stuff Day, I cleared off my desk. So now I've got place for more shit. Anyway, I put a couple tickets in for the mystery box. Yeah. And somehow I managed to win it, which was awesome.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually very nice. It was a bottle of wine, a little sweatshirt.
Nice.
But there was a gift certificate to stay at the hotel.
This is the Four Seasons?
This might be a Four Seasons. It's a night stay, and it's a lunch, and then it's like a 90-minute couples massage. And when they said, after I won it, they said what it was, all the people were like, oh, that sounds nice. They're like looking at my wife.
Oh, lovely.
They're like two tables away, and they're like, oh, and she's kind of smiling. Meanwhile, I point to the tallest guy that I see, which is one of these dads right in front of me at the table, and I was like, nope, I'm taking Markus. Markus, we're doing the couples massage. And poor Markus didn't really know what to do. He just sort of looked at me, and I gave him a high five. He's like, all right, I'm in. It's like, done. That's what we're doing. So anyway, that was my week. It was lovely. I have no complaints. How about yours?
Tuesday night, I watched the Los Angeles Lakers rookie Dalton Knecht tie the NBA record for the most three-pointers made in a single game by a rookie.
Wow.
Knecht hit 6 three-pointers in less than 4 minutes. The Mamba Center crowd went crazy. 9 beautiful three-pointers in all in a victory over the Utah Jazz, matching the record previously held by Rodrigue Bobois, Yogi Ferrell, and Keontae George. Keontae George was there, by the way. He's on the Utah Jazz.
Okay. So first of all, none of those were real names, right? Every one of those is a made-up name.
I'm sure.
So for those of you that don't know, because I'm also one that doesn't know, since I don't really follow basketball, Dalton, what's his last name?
Dalton Knecht.
Dalton Knecht.
Yes.
He spells Knecht Knecht. That's how he spells Knecht, which my first thought was this is the name they give to like the router that they sell at IKEA. Because you go in there and you buy the Knecht. Like if you need the Knecht router, it's the Knecht. And the real bitch is you got to put that shit together. Like you just get a PCB and you just get a bunch of parts and you get this like, there's no words in it. It's just this weird.
And a soldering iron that works for soldering 10 things.
Exactly. And then it stops working. It's like if IKEA and Harbor Freight had a baby. That's basically what you would get. Anyway, oh yeah, Knecht is that's hysterical.
Utah Jazz coach Will Hardy had a great line. He said, it seems like everybody in the gym knew that Dalton Knecht was going to shoot the next shot with the exception of a few people. The problem was those few people were on our team. Dalton only has 68 more games to try to break that record. Also Tuesday, Anthony Davis got deliberately punched in the nuts.
Okay.
The incident resulted in a flagrant 1 foul being called on John Collins. Davis left the game briefly but returned, hopefully wearing a cup covered in spikes. The new Sea Urchin Cup, which if it doesn't exist yet, you and I are manufacturing soon.
Well, this thing will sell itself. It's called the Uni Cup.
Sure.
It'll be great.
Let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
The Tyson-Paul boxing match on Netflix peaked at 65 million concurrent streams, according to Most Valuable Promotions. It set a record for the most concurrent streams for a live sporting event. Now, say what you want about the boxing match. I don't think it was much of a boxing match.
Sure.
But the fact that they were showing it to so many people simultaneously is pretty mind-blowing. According to TV Vision, 56% of all U.S. TV viewing between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time was for the Paul versus Tyson fight. This is streaming.
65 million concurrent streams is a lot. They would have probably done something closer to 80 million had they been able to get Tyson's peers to watch it, but there's no internet connectivity at the Belmont Village, so they couldn't get any of the older folks online. They just said they would wait for it to come out on VHS. I think that was their solution.
With muddy video, buffering, and drop streams, NFL fans worry Netflix fight stream means it can't handle football. At 65 million concurrent streams, that's more than what's typical for an NFL game. The concern is the upcoming Christmas Day NFL games on Netflix, which will draw a ton of viewers.
There hasn't been like a post-mortem on this, not that I've seen publicly. I think overall they did a better job than I expected. Had you told me they were going to have 65 million streams and they didn't know
I don't think they knew they were going to have 65 million streams.
I don't think they knew either. Yeah. I mean, I think it's sort of testing the waters. There are plenty of great streaming solutions out there. NBC did a great job streaming the Olympics all summer.
Absolutely amazing.
It felt, I mean, it was a significantly better experience than a non-OTT, right? Than like a cable experience. It was great.
It felt seamless too. Everything just seemed to work beautifully.
Now, you'd also didn't have the concurrency problem.
Yeah.
This was kind of nuts. I think it was a win. I also don't think you're going to get 65 million people tuning in to watch the Christmas Day NFL game.
Beyonce is heading the halftime show for the Texas Ravens NFL matchup as part of the Christmas Game Day live show.
That's kind of nuts. I mean, you're getting a Super Bowl quality halftime show for it.
There's going to be a lot of people tuning in. I think that's going to be massive.
That's interesting.
I mean, I was in a restaurant with some friends. And a friend of mine was texting me and he's like, oh, I'm watching the Tyson Paul fight.
Sure.
And so I tuned in. I was like, oh, I'm going to tune in. Let's see how this is going. And I had on my phone in the middle of a restaurant a perfectly clean, good stream. I watched the end of the fight with no problems. But I understand that wasn't everyone's experience. But I was quite impressed.
No, that's good. Getting a clean, perfect stream like that is important, is what my urologist has told me.
Sure.
That it's a sign of good health.
Saw that coming a mile away.
You're not throwing softballs at me. You're throwing wiffle balls at me today. And I feel like I'm being set up for something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to just keep hitting these as hard as I can. And also the Netflix CTO said, look, we think we did a really good job. I don't think that was gaslighting. I think from their expectations,
part of it is knowing in advance, guessing in advance what your number is going to be. How much infrastructure do I need?
That is a function of cost, right? You could overspend and have 3x, but what good is that? That's not helping your bottom line. I did find it fascinating that Bloomberg said Netflix is expected to gain 10 million viewers in the fourth quarter this year due to a combination of these live sporting events, like the boxing match and NFL on Christmas Day, and their upcoming second season of Squid Games, which is supposed to air, I think, the day after Christmas. Yeah. Netflix has also secured rights to WWE's headline weekly show, Monday Night Raw, which starts early January. So what's nuts is 10 million users or 10 million subscribers in this quarter. I think roughly speaking, they're talking about like they're around $200 a year is their sub cost, like $180, $200 a year.
$15 a month, is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah, that's double-digit billions of dollars in annual revenue that has no real significant cogs associated with it. That's just money that they can do what they want with. And I'm assuming that's where a lot of this goes into content creation and rights for these types of like live events.
Okay, enough with the headlines. Up next, we're going to talk about the evolution of the internet.
What are the top 3 things the internet has brought us?
Cat videos.
I thought you were going to talk about the dancing videos on TikTok.
Oh, I don't ever see those.
No. You have a flip phone? You've got a fucking jitterbug, don't you?
I do.
Your phone's a jitterbug. It's got 2 buttons on it.
It's just a matter of time. One's the bigger buttons.
One calls your wife and one calls me. That's it. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. You're like, Jeff, it doesn't run apps. You're like, who needs an app? I use it to call people.
Oh, that's hilarious. Let's go. Come on.
Come in. Today I want to talk about the internet.
Okay.
You've been on the internet.
I was on it one time.
Once?
Somebody showed me something.
Was it coin op?
I think there was.
You had to put a coin in a slot?
Was something like that, yeah.
You and I were both technology forward in the 90s, sort of before the internet was a common household name.
Oh, sure. It's how we spent our days, our lives.
And our nights.
Yeah.
What did you think the internet was going to do? Like, what did you really think before we had the internet at large?
Yeah.
What did you think it was gonna do for the masses?
I thought it was going to be like a great movie service, or you could show live TV, you could show football games and boxing matches. I thought it was going to be how you bought all of your goods and services.
It'd be the place you go when you want to see people fight old elderly folks. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Fight senior citizens.
Yeah, totally.
all of your shopping you would do. You'd buy services. People could come to your house who were like task hamsters, I think I would call them. And they would come to your house and they could fix things and you would pay them money. But that's how you would connect. That was my original sense of what it might be like.
I was with you until Task Hamster. Task Hamster, you lost me. Task Hamster.
And there was going to be a giant store that had carried every kind of product called the Congo.
The Congo.
And that's what it would be. That was my initial impression.
On one of those sites, you should post an ad for a new co-host and see how that goes. Maybe one slightly less gullible than me. Okay, so basically what you're saying is you had the internet all figured out before the internet had it figured out.
I pretty much thought it was a better version of email.
Like barely better. Like a little faster.
Yeah,
okay. You and I were alike.
A little faster. And
Did you see anything else like this?
Nothing like what it's become.
Like I don't.
Nothing.
I feel like back then you had people that saw the internet as being a thing and they knew you needed access. And there's a whole group of people that set up like access companies, right? Like the Earthlinks with Sky Dayton.
Sure.
And the AOLs.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
AOL was huge.
Yeah. But then I feel like everybody else had no fucking idea what it was going to be.
Do you know how we got AOL? Somebody mailed us a CD in the mail.
Exactly. I thought you were being rhetorical. No, he literally meant a CD in the... But you joke about a movie service. It was the same thing, right? You had the little Netflix packages. They just shipped DVDs in the mail to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For
to watch a film about whatever.
And send it back when you're ready.
Fascinating model. I feel like most of those things back then, like you just didn't know and you just tried. Which is why there's so many failures up front.
There were obviously people who knew or had some sense that this could be much more than it was.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I don't think we had a script. I don't think there was a script.
No, not at all.
It just sort of evolved. Having been a part of that back then, I did not see the outcome where it was going to be anything other than decentralized. So sorry, I double negative that. My view was you were going to have a decentralized web because it was decentralized to start, right? You had everybody trying different things.
Oh, I get what you're saying now. Yes, because there's so many different, there'd be like a million different companies on it, all selling various services and things like that. I get you. It's like federated.
And I had this naive belief that if your service wasn't liked by people, they just go to another service, right? Or somebody just start something new.
Go to the next one, sure.
Your barrier to entry was relatively low.
Zero.
Well, it wasn't zero. You still had to buy hardware. You had to buy data centers. At the time, time, you had two options. Your two primary options were what?
Unix for $100,000 license.
Running on what hardware?
Sun Microsystems.
Sun.
Yeah.
You basically had Sun and you had Windows, and that was basically it. At the time, if you were running any sort of reasonable size web platform, you were either a Microsoft shop and you were running IIS or some other, like Alaire was a popular system back then, which was ultimately bought by Adobe, but it's still running on a Windows box, or you were running
a Sun system,
Sun equipment, and running probably Apache. Like those were your options at the time.
And those were expensive options.
They were insanely expensive.
The fact that you could have the internet now is partially due to the fact that it got really cheap when Linux came around and it worked.
Totally. Well, there was their dirty little secret back then. What Microsoft did, because they wanted market share, they'd basically let you steal everything. They didn't care.
Oh, yeah?
Until you got the size. When you got the size, then MCS...
They came knocking for
They'd come knocking and be like, hey, we know you got, 40 servers. You've got like 2 copies of, Windows 2000 you've put across the whole thing. Like, how about you just pay for the licenses? They wouldn't go after you. They just wanted you to just catch up. And as long as you'd catch up.
Sure.
But they were smart in that they did, I don't know if this was calculated or not, but I believe it to be calculated. They'd only do it if you succeeded. If you didn't succeed, they were like, well, there's no money to squeeze out of that anyway.
Yeah, move on to the next one, sure.
We're better off having the horse in the race if we can. Yeah. There are still companies today that use that model successfully, especially in like the prosumer, like electronics hacking category, where they're like, hey, here's some hardware. By the way, there's keys online for it. We don't really care, but we hope that you use this to its fullest potential, and then later you graduate and buy something bigger and better from us. Yeah. I think that's really smart, right? Especially on software where their cogs are about zero, and it's just a way for them to have a better presence.
It certainly worked for Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. Digress. The internet at large.
Yes.
Definitely did not have on my bingo card that you were going to have a handful of players, a half dozen or so players.
Back up 1 second. When we were first aware of the internet, it was basically a series of connected BBSs that were sending around mostly things that were text. And if you downloaded something, it took a long time.
I can't believe I still remember these random things that I know, but like the benefit of GIFs being stored line by line so that you could literally see them load in when you're on a dial-up connection, because it would be literally reading scan lines out of the image and showing them to you line at a time. Like that was one of the benefits over using a GIF for imagery over JPEGs, is that you could see them earlier.
Pieces of them.
What a crazy time.
Yeah, as they revealed themselves.
I feel like I got my first high-speed internet connection probably around 98-ish, and that was a couple megabit, and that felt like a fire hose.
Sure. Web pages loaded almost instantaneously.
And like no funny sounds.
Sure.
You were just connected.
Somehow you're just on the internet with no dial-up sound.
I'm just on the fucking internet right now. Like I'm just here. Yeah, it was crazy. And like, of course, there were no protections on those networks back in the day. I mean, that's what I heard. I didn't actually explore any of those things, but I heard
no protections. What, like what?
Oh man, everything was like wide open. Like you used to be able to just go pop into switches that they would have like default passwords upstream on your MS. So again, theoretically, I never
did it yourself.
But I heard like they didn't trap any traffic going in and out. Like it was the Wild West. Like everybody was just trying to figure it out. And I again naively believed as I watched that evolve, that you just end up with this decentralized world where you could pick your favorite thing, and that I always assumed that the best thing would win.
Millions of businesses selling you books or selling things. Millions of businesses that did different kinds of things, and it would be an equal playing field for everybody.
Get your information from the best possible source. I never thought about it hard, but it just seemed that was going to be the natural outcome. Yeah. And I'd say for several years, it felt like we were on that path. Yeah. And then it just started to get gobbled up, right? You had like the search engine wars of the early aughts that then pretty quickly became no war, like just like the British Empire. Like you just basically had Google left. That was it.
Think about Yahoo before that was like Jerry's list. It was literally, they were collecting lists of URLs manually. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
And Google was, the beginning of spiders crawling the internet and going out and actively finding things.
But Yahoo was kind of brilliant because you could see its origin story in the Yellow Pages, right? I mean, Yahoo was like, it was the Yellow Pages approach. And you'd be like, well, we'll put you here in the L section, but if you want a bigger ad, you can, pay for double line. And it's like,
sure.
So it was the natural sort of extension and not the rethink of it. And then it really took ultimately Google, right? Larry and Sergey to come along and be like, no. We're going to let the people tell us where they really added value was in ranking. Yeah. And that was pretty early out of the gate. They were able to say, okay, we think this one's more valuable than that one because more people have linked to it. Sure. And that was the big sort of bridge that you had to cross then, or at least that they crossed then, that nobody else had thought about or had implemented. Anyway, the point being, even that feels very decentralized, right? Like the way something becomes more valuable on Google is by more people saying that's the thing and linking to it. Yeah. But even that felt sort of decentralized. But then I feel like pretty quickly, like you started to see it in the mid-aughts, certainly by the late aughts, like 2010-ish, you had a handful of players that basically ran the internet, at least from a personal information perspective.
It happened very quickly.
You had a handful of players. It did really seem like it happened pretty quickly. Also, like almost transparently. Like, I'm not saying there weren't people talking about it. There were certainly people talking about it. But most folks didn't appreciate the meme of, if you're not paying for it, you're the product.
Sure.
Like if you're not buying a product, you're the product.
Sure.
I feel like that snuck up on the majority of people out there.
Absolutely.
And now that's the world that we're in. We're in this world where the majority of your personal information, a handful of companies hold, and that's where the majority of it sits. And you
are for sale.
Virtually no control over it. Yeah. You have so you can nuke, right? You can just say, I want out, and you can pull all your information out. You have like a modicum of transparency via...
Can I do that everywhere?
I don't know about everywhere, but I know you can in a lot of places.
Think about Amazon, all the data they have on everything I've ever looked up on Amazon.
That's a great version.
By the way, everything I've ever paused and looked at for more than a moment that they know I've paused and looked at, whether I clicked on it or not. Can I pull all that data away from them?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think the answer is no.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either.
Because you didn't actively contribute it?
I did contribute it by pausing.
You contributed, but you contributed it passively. I'm defining the difference as you posting a tweet on Twitter. I'm saying that's like an active contribution.
I actually typed something.
Yeah, versus a passive contribution. I don't think anybody else uses these words. I'm just making them up. Yeah. Which is you just having to click or, not even just click, mouse over.
Scroll or don't.
Like just scrolling what your mouse goes over, because you have a tendency to put your mouse over the thing that you're looking at, which is also bananas.
Yeah.
It says you can submit a request and delete your account, and they'll delete all your personal information.
And will they really, or in 2 years will you find out they've deleted nothing that was yours?
Yeah.
Because that's always what we find out when people try to...
Let's talk about that one for a second, because that is a really interesting thing. GDPR, I think, has done the best at giving users some rights over their data.
You blow over GDPR really, really fast. Explain what that is.
So the GDPR has been around for almost 10 years, give or take, maybe a little longer. It was put into effect by the European Union, and it basically gave some sort of rights.
Some teeth to the users.
Some teeth to the users for your data. So there's a handful of things that it mandates, one of which, the one that I think most people talk about, is your right to delete. So as a user, you can go to a business and say, I'm a European Union citizen, and I want you to delete all of my data. And they have to comply within some time period.
And if they don't comply, there are penalties, and the penalties are severe.
They've got pretty decent teeth on them. I think the top penalty is defined as a percentage of revenue. So it's a scaling penalty depending on how big you are. But something that's always interesting about this, and there's definitely some uncertainty around this. So if I have, let's just say I've got a site for crocheting, and I have 100 million users, and you guys can post what you talk about, what you're crocheting, and Jeff comes along and says, I want you to delete my data. Okay, I go delete it out of my database. I do the best thing that I thought possible. Sure. Remove the whole row. Data's gone. Do I have to go remove it now from all my backups? What about that data?
Well, I don't think you.
What do you do?
What
there?
are you going to do? You let the backups age out, but what happens if you have to use one of those backups? You have to roll back a day, and now my data's all back.
You try to track all your GDPR requests for that case. That's actually kind of the easy case, right? The easy case is that you can roll back and say, okay, well, we went back to a data snapshot from this day.
Here are the things we took out in the last 24 hours before this.
You basically keep a transaction tail, and you know which ones. Like, that's feasible. But I do think it's interesting when you go, well, wait, you didn't actually delete all my data because I asked you to delete it, and then there was a breach N days later, and somebody got my data.
Somebody got it from the backup.
Exactly, because somebody could have got a backup. So I think folks get a little wrapped around the axle there. I'm just happy giving users the ability to control their data to some modicum and be able to delete it and pull it out. But it does beg the question, when you're, not this passive data that Jeff's talking about, when you're actively doing things,
sending
posting
tweets
on, posting a tweet or posting something on Facebook, should you be able to delete it? Like, should you as the user have the right to be able to pull that data down? Does that make sense to you?
There are apps like Tweet Delete that allow you to,
of course,
pull down all your tweets, and I'm guessing it deletes them. I don't know if the database does or not.
But philosophically, should you as the user have the right?
Should you be able to unsay something you've said in public?
Yes.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Right? It seems, of course, it seems reasonable that if I said, hey, I said something before, now if that tweet stays, it's really like I'm saying it again, right? If somebody goes and reads it again.
For any new readers, it certainly is.
For any new readers. So I think I should be able to have the right to bring it down. It shouldn't have to be written in stone, at least not for the majority of communication cases.
Sure.
But then it begs the question too, if somebody else captured that, do they have to delete it?
Somebody grabbed a screenshot of it before I deleted it.
Yeah, exactly. And I go, well,
no,
if you...
They have the right to have something that they've heard.
They were there.
They don't have to unhear it.
They heard you say it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of interesting. So this has manifested itself in some very interesting ways recently. Earlier this year, Reddit was getting prepared for their IPO, and they said, I think even in the lead up last year, they put in some new structure for API access, specifically targeting third parties that had apps that would access Reddit, because the Reddit
there were
app
tons of those.
was
there were
and
tons
still
of those.
is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a bunch of them. And they were, for the most part, free. Like you would have maybe some services that they would upsell, but the basic reader was free. And Reddit provided free access to this because their view, I believe, was, well, you can access it via the web. You can access it via a third party.
Yeah, we don't care if you use our stuff.
We don't really care. They weren't monetizing it well. So they're getting ready to float, and they go, well, we want to be able to monetize this shit. We don't control the channel of these third-party developers, so we're going to put in some cost structure to say, well, if you're not going to use our app end user, you're going to have to pay something. And I think the way they executed it was not great. They didn't put a great pricing policy into effect. And it pissed off a bunch of app developers. One in particular just pulled the ripcord and said, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just done.
Yeah.
And a bunch of users said, this is terrible. You guys at Reddit are a bunch of greedy fucks.
Back up once. Can I back up one second? Remember where you're at.
Yep.
Do you think that was partially because AIs were coming along to slurp up all the data, and so they wanted to make it so that you couldn't freely slurp up all the data?
No. I think that maybe towards the end of that curve, they may have said some of that. I do think this was mainly about making a business that previously was not very profitable.
Making a little more money on it. Yeah.
No, not a little more money. Like you had a lot of people that had a tremendous amount of equity tied up in this business, and they had no real marketplace for it. Mm-hmm. And this was unlocking that equity, which generally speaking, I'm not opposed to.
Sure, of course.
But it does beg the question of what is Reddit supposed to be? Like really, what is it? And I think it started with a more altruistic, hey, this is an open platform. It wasn't an open platform, but this is a platform.
Share ideas.
That you can share ideas on, right? And for the longest time, and even now, if you wanted an answer to a question in Google, because Google is so shit now at giving you the answer, you put in your search criteria space Reddit and you get the answer because you find some Reddit thread.
A good answer.
Now, those days are going away because now you've got a bunch of people putting a bunch of garbage into Reddit. But the point is then that's something that you could do. So back to the story here, folks boycotted Reddit. And the way they did it wasn't just by saying, I'm not going to use your service anymore. They said, we're going to scrub all of our Reddit posts.
Okay.
And the way that most of those utilities did that is they go into your Reddit account and it would go not delete, but edit your text for all of your posts to something like 3 words of gibberish.
Okay.
In some ways it was worse than delete because the belief was if you just delete it, then maybe the evil overlords could roll that back later.
Yeah.
But if you edit it to something else, it's going to be harder for them to tell what's a real edit, what's a
sure.
not real edit.
What's a real sentence?
So a bunch of people just get pissed off and I go, well, okay, I guess that's kind of their right. They contributed to the thing and now they want to take that all away, and they do. But now I find myself, I'd say at least once a week, I run into a post on Reddit for some piece of information, something I'm interested in, and I now can't get the whole story because there are holes in the story because somebody pulled it out.
Sure.
In my view, it didn't change Reddit's IPO at all. It didn't change the value of the business. It had pretty much a nothing burger impact.
Yeah.
However, it's made it a lot shittier for me as an end user now to go find some piece of information because now there's a bunch of holes.
But maybe you're now less inclined to use Reddit, and so they did achieve their goal.
Where else am I going to go?
Yeah.
Like we don't have another place to
Great
go.
question. Stack Overflow. I mean, there's competitors. There's a few.
But different, right? Stack Overflow is very, very little discussion. It's very much a question answer designed for experts. I love Stack Overflow,
Yeah,
right?
great.
The whole Stack Exchange ecosystem is great. But a lot of times I'm looking for the discussion. And some of my favorite parts of the discussion on Reddit are just these random walks, these like collisions, these happy accidents that happen from just somebody, like you started the thread talking about air fryers. And before you know it, you're talking about 1980s video games because there's some thread that take you through it. And that's part of the fun part to me. So I don't want to lose that.
That's great.
And I think that's something that you gain in the open format that is discussions. I haven't seen anything really tackle that, right? I mean,
Stack Overflow, you have to stay on topic. You aren't drifting.
It's not that you're just not drifting. Yeah, I guess it's staying on topic. Like it's Q&A.
You actually get rated, and so you want your rating to be good. And
you'll have some discussion in the comments on a specific answer, but it is still very much a Q&A site, right? It is ask a question and get it answered. And I do think that there are some things where they don't even stray off topic in Reddit. It stays sort of on topic, but it's a whole different aspect of the thing that was asked. And you have people with expertise that just happen to be brought to the same room because of the question. You know what I mean? Like it's really fascinating to me. And I think it's an awesome example of information exchange and development that I don't want to see lost. I don't know where else it goes right now. Like I don't think your open platforms that look like Twitter, like the Mastodons or the Blue Skies, you get a kind of conversation there, but it's a very different sort of conversation. It's much more linear. You don't have as many of the sort of like the hub and spoke model where you get like stuff that's shooting off to the side. Sure. I find it harder to get the overall scope of the rando conversation, but I digress. My point being, these folks post deleted a bunch of shit on Reddit, I think left the world in a worse place, and we don't have a better place to go to. Should that be okay? Should that be allowed? Like, should Reddit have the right to put your content back in gray text to be like, well, here's what they said before. This is version 1. Their version 2 is something different, but you can pick as the user which one you want to see.
I think you've always had the right to delete your text from Reddit.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
So they don't have any right to put it back in gray.
But why not? Right? If somebody saw it, what if I saw it previously? Should I be able to see it again still? I would think yes.
You might be able then to post that Jeff said this around such and such a date. You could probably say that, but they don't have a right to put back anything that I've taken down.
What if a third party scrapes it all? Can I go back and see it? Can I see the version history, what you posted? You said it out loud in public. It's not like this is...
you mean like Internet Archive services.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
If I remove myself from the tech and I go to just what you say in public, you can't really undo that, right? You can like put out a bunch of propaganda and tell people you never said that. But the reality is you said it went out to the ether.
Sure.
And if somebody wrote it down and put it into a book, should you be able to say, hey, you got to take that out of the book? Well, no, I heard you say it. I wrote it down. It's my factual account of what happened.
Right. No, of course not.
So if you've got a second level of redirection, right? If you've got Reddit and then redditarchive.com, do I really need the redditarchive.com? Like if a third party can go scrape it and show me what it looked like, why can't that just be in Reddit? Again, you can still delete your shit and say, I don't want to have continued this under my name, but I still think you should have visibility into what you said before.
How does that work if I can delete my data and yet you want my data to be able to reappear?
It seems like here is the paradox. This is the paradox, right? And this is what's so fascinating to me is I don't know what the answer is. I certainly don't. I know versions of this that I've been a part of that have been, I felt fucking terrible, like sort of in the other way. We were talking about this a while ago with the, remember the CDDB, the CD database?
Yeah, sure.
This is dating how old we are. It's like what? Like
compact disc database. You'd put your CD in, it would know all the names of the tracks and it would know the album cover, the CD cover.
Well, yeah, and the track names. Yeah, right. So this really came to fruition around the time when we could start ripping CD tracks from WAV to MP3. Yeah. But even before that, when you just had a CD player, and I used to listen to music on my computer on the CD player, there was no construct of ripping. I had a 100 megahertz Pentium, right? It would probably it couldn't even fucking rip in real time.
Sure.
So instead, you would put a CD in, and I'm sure a lot of listeners don't even know what a fucking CD is, let alone the fact that in CD Redbook, which is the encoding for an audio CD, there is no metadata, which always broke my brain. It is literally a digital interpretation of WAV files with no fucking metadata. So you couldn't pull off the names from the CD, which was terrible. So some guys sort of got together and came up with this idea of the CD database, which would fingerprint the CD. And the way it did that was number of tracks and track length. That gave you a fingerprint. Mm-hmm. And then it would query a database and say, is there a name, artist name and an album name. And
did it sample any data from any of the audio just to give it a little bit more sophisticated?
To my knowledge, no. At least not the early ones did not. It was literally just number of tracks and track length. Because every now and again, you would get a match and you'd be like, oh, wait, that's not this album. And it would just so happen that it would have the same tracks. Now, back then, to me, it was like an Easter egg. If you put a CD in and you didn't get a hit in the CD database, you were like enamored. Like I would like rush to put in the information because you felt like you
could contribute the data.
Yeah, you were helping the greater good. And then the next time somebody else that you didn't know put that same CD in, they would get your track information. It was actually really cool. Sure. There's a whole bunch of drama that went around the CDDB later, but it ultimately ended up in the hands of new evil overlords, and they started charging for the shit, right? They wanted to charge access. They slowly crept away sort of open access to it. And of course, the internet, doing what the internet does, said, get fucked. Yeah. And they went and started their own. And you saw a couple of forks of this. You saw FreeDB, something called Music Brains, which still exists today. But they basically said, no, we're going to do this ourselves. We didn't have the abilities. I don't think we had the ability back then to remove ourselves from it. Like I couldn't remove the tracks that I put in.
Yeah, no.
I don't even think the tracks that I put in were tied to me. At least I couldn't see it. Maybe it was tied in the DB somewhere. But I remember that being the first time where I felt like the rug got pulled out from under me. Or like I had contributed to this thing for the community. And then someone said, oh, no. And then it got pulled out.
Oh, it happens a lot, especially in open source, where someone will, for whatever reason, convert from open source now we're a commercial program. And it's like, wait a minute, I contributed code to that. And your terms of service, whatever license you were in, doesn't allow you to use my contributions. Yeah. In some cases it does, but in many cases it doesn't. Now what? You're going to take out my code and now you're going to figure out a new way to write that piece?
Yeah, without looking at it?
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean, same thing with Creative Commons for media. So that's part of why if I ever put anything out into the ether, I always try to slap a Creative Commons license on it.
Absolutely.
If I want it to be out there. So like, usually I'm a share alike sort of guy. Like, here you go. Like, fine, use it, give me credit, and just don't make any more restrictive terms on it than I've already put.
I don't even ask for credit.
I find that to be reasonable.
Take it, it's yours. If you want to commercialize it, great, go nuts. If you want
I like attribution.
Use it for anything you want. I need nothing.
The only thing I like more than my name is my voice. So it seems, so you can tell from listening to this show. I digress a little bit here. here, but the point being, should you be able to delete your own information? I think you and I both agree the answer is yes.
Of course.
But anybody that's like, you don't have the right to delete it from someone else's memory.
Yeah.
And I think for someone else to be able to re-say it, that feels okay to me.
I don't know, if that means that I send a tweet out and then I decide I want to erase that tweet.
Yep.
And then Twitter decides that's a popular tweet, I want to put it back in. They can't put it in gray. I mean, they can't put it back.
But I still could, right? I could still come out. You put a tweet out that says, I think the color blue is the best color in the world.
Yeah.
And then at some point later you go, you know what? I've changed my mind. I think it's green. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete the blue quote.
Yeah.
But then I can come out and say, well, hey, Jeff said
Blue is the best color in the world.
last year that blue was the best color. And I don't think you've got any right to tell me not to say that because you in fact did. Now, if I made it up.
But that's different than having my tweet out there that says blue is the best color.
Oh, sure. But that's why you just put it in gray. That's my point. It's to like show the version history.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm kind of fascinated by this. If I just say, well, hey, Jeff previously said this, but then he edited it to this and then he deleted it.
Yep.
That seems okay to leave that log out there. Again, I'm only talking about things that are spoken publicly.
Yeah, sure,
things that are
sure.
spoken privately, I think is a different animal. But things that are spoken publicly, that seems like the best approach. And I'm also very keen on this because, well, one, I believe in some modicum of accountability and responsibility. And that seems to be fucking gone. But also just the knowledge preservation.
Yeah.
GitHub. Think about GitHub. If you put a repo up on GitHub, to my understanding, if I own the repository, I can nuke that thing whenever I want.
Yeah.
Right? I can just delete it and it's gone unless someone forked it.
Oh, sure.
I don't think I have any right. Like maybe I've got some license on the code. That's different. But assuming you put it out there in a license that's shareable and someone forked that, I've got no ability and certainly no right to have you pull that down.
Yeah.
That seems like the right answer to me because again, you put it out in public. You put it out into the ether.
I think you're probably right. I certainly have repositories that have been forked. And one in particular that's quite useful that has been forked and the person who forked it hasn't changed one thing.
Sure. I know. Those are always my favorite.
Why'd you fork it?
Want your name on this? Like, what are you doing here?
I mean, that's fine. I don't care. Knock yourself out. I just think it's curious.
It is. I will tell you, it is possible that they've forked it and they've got like a local branch. They've done something different. They just haven't pushed it back up. I have done that before.
Maybe. Maybe.
A lot of times, I think most forks that sit dormant like that, especially if they fall behind and they're updated, somebody forked it with some intentions and just never did anything with it.
Yeah, possibly.
Like I see that a lot.
I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah.
It just struck me as like an odd thing.
But I think it's interesting from a what should be said in public. But then I also, this to me is a very related question. Should you as the person who said the thing in public, should you have some control over who can hear it? Right? And I'm sort of bearing the lead here. If you say it out loud in public, again, like on a Threads or a Twitter or whatever, anybody can read it and see it, right? Like
in an elevator.
In an elevator, yeah.
I'm saying it, and there's 10 people in the elevator and I say something aloud.
Everybody in the elevator can hear it. Yep. Now, if one of those people in the elevator is AI, can they hear it?
Yeah.
Well, you fucking said it in the elevator. Seems like it should be okay. But I don't know what the world is going to look like on that because we're not sure how we're going to manage content ingestion into AI. My view right now is if you've said it in public, anybody, including an AI, should be able to read it and hear it.
Although
a
company like Facebook does not consider their form to be public. They consider
that's a different animal.
They own that data. They own that information. So Otis Elevator owns the conversation from what I said in the elevator. Don't you think?
Oh my God. And tomorrow, Otis Elevator went up 80% in value in the stock market. The elevator conversation has just gotten very valuable. I think you have a modicum, at least you have a consideration of privacy in Facebook because you have some small network that you may have set it to. If you didn't say something public, you set it to your network. Mm-hmm. That could be a different animal. I'm not ready to tackle that. I'm trying to tackle the easier question of the public version, which to me, I think the analog of what you said in an elevator does make sense, right? It's an elevator that never, ever fucking forgets. Yeah. It's just like always written on, like you say it and it gets written on the wall in stone and it's there forever. And that's the way I've always treated the internet. Like whatever you put out there is going to be out there forever.
Sure.
Folks say this all the time. We, overprotect in person and underprotect online. But in this case here, I don't think we actually do. I feel like if anything, we're trying to exert some sort of additional control online that you don't get in person.
Yeah.
You don't have, at least not to my knowledge, you don't have
There's no unsay button.
Exactly. You don't have the Men in Black stick that erases everyone's brain after you said something.
Oh, I'd like to have that.
I would use that every day on myself.
I'd use it on myself, totally.
I wouldn't even share it with anybody. I would be like winning the lotto. I would never tell you.
Can I have those cells that have memorized all the lyrics to all the 70s songs back? Can I have that memory back?
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Now all I can think about is writing like a Men in Black stick that works with a grep regex so that I can match things. That's the version of Men in Black that didn't make it, right? They like ended up on the cutting room floor where like Will Smith is talking into the thing and he's like splat dot dot plus. Fuck, is it plus? What's match 0 or 1? It's plus. Okay, plus. I want folks to be able to control their own data. I think that is a good thing. And that's where I was getting to. So you have like some interesting things happening. You've got the Fediverse, which is gaining momentum. Mastodon certainly has been...
That's ActivityPub.
One of the largest proponents of ActivityPub.
Move your data however you want.
Blue Sky, which is sort of was like the think tank inside Twitter that I wouldn't say spun out, but left to start Blue Sky. Yeah. You've got Federation there in a universe where arguably built on top of ActivityPub, although it directly isn't, but it has...
But it's standing on the shoulders of what ActivityPub had.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they've really prioritized data portability, being able to pull data out. So they sort of have this like pod construct. And then you've got Tim Berners-Lee running around now.
Also pods.
And he has been for several years talking about pods. Yeah, and those are really interesting to me. It's like the personal data pod.
Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, for those who don't remember.
Yeah. In his free time at CERN.
Literally in his free time.
Yeah.
He showed it to his boss, the memo to his boss, and said, yeah, you can do this in your spare time.
Yeah, told him only on your lunch break, Tim. Come on, you're going to find the whole web for the new world. And he's like, only in lunch hours. Okay, so Tim Berners-Lee, Sir Tim Berners-Lee.
Yes, he has been knighted.
Co-founded this company called Inrupt.
Yeah.
They've built something called Solid. Solid is this sort of web decentralization project where you have these pods. You could have like a health information pod about yourself. You could have a financial information, where you've got your credit card numbers or whatever. It's a really neat construct. I still don't see how this works without having some teeth behind it, some government level teeth, like a GDPR in the EU or something in the US, because otherwise folks will just be like, oh, thanks, give me your financial information. I'm going to just copy it here into this DB because, again, copy costs are 0. So anyway.
We need to get better at keeping our data. More importantly, you and I need to educate people on the importance of data privacy.
For sure.
And again, like I say, most people just don't care. They don't get why it's an issue.
We should talk about it more on the show.
Happily give away their information in exchange for some convenience.
Yeah. If you're going to do that, at least get a lot of convenience out of it. Not just a little, but get a lot.
All right. We have to get out of here, but quickly before we do, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
I have.
Okay.
So I came across this post from a fellow nerd, Ben Wallace. He talked about something that I had long since forgotten. Ben wrote that between 2009 and 2012, Apple iPhones and iPod Touches included this feature called Send to YouTube. Do you remember this? You were an iPhone user back then.
I was, yes.
So
sure.
It basically allowed users to upload videos directly to YouTube from your Photos app.
One easy click.
What's interesting about it is that it did not change the name of the upload.
Okay.
And YouTube reported a 1,700% increase in total video uploads during the first half of 2009, crediting that growth to the sort of partnership with Apple. This is before Apple and YouTube had a breakup. So Apple severed its ties with YouTube back in 2012. The point is, there's this cache of these videos, these early videos from iPhone users from 2009 to 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. And you can find them on YouTube. And the way you find them is by searching for the file name, img_, and then a 4-digit number.
Just whatever the computer gave as the name.
Sort of the phone gave the name of the content. And what's so cool about this is this is like old YouTube world. Nothing was produced. Nothing was made for clicks or subscribers. You're just seeing into this world of people. It's like nothing was really intended for mass viewing. Many folks just probably didn't understand that YouTube was a place that strangers could see your video.
It was public, yeah.
And YouTube's already automatically removed all the harmful and violent content. So what remains, this is what Ben calls it, is a, quote, unique, almost paradoxical state, forbidden yet harmless. You can just go search for these things, and it's really fun. And then, of course, as soon as I find this, I find some other dude that made a bot that crawled YouTube and found 5 million of them and put in a player, like a carousel
sure.
that just plays one of each. So it's really kind of interesting. And if you find this at all amusing, I'll put a link in the show notes. Just go click play for just 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's really kind of cute to see. My favorite one is this guy. It's his wife basically telling him that they're pregnant.
Yeah.
And he just freaks out and loses his mind. I'm like, that kid is 10 now.
Oh, sure.
I want to know how the kid's doing.
2009, he's older than 10.
No, it was 2014. This one was 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
But the comment history is all just people hey, came here from this app. Curious how your kid's doing. Hope you're well. It's just a whole bunch of comments like that. So it was super fun. But anyway, that was my nerdness for the week. How about yours?
That's pretty great. Mine is Indiana football. The Hoosiers are undefeated 10-0. And this is, understand, a basketball school. This has never been a football school.
Totally.
They have never been 10-0 before. This is off the chart, so exciting, so much fun. They had an off week last week, and Indiana still ranked 5th on the AP college poll.
Wow.
But the real test comes this Saturday at noon, 9 a.m. Pacific. I invite you to watch as they face Ohio State, which is a real football school.
Of course.
They are favored, but of course you never know. As my friend Ron says, that's why you play the game.
Yeah, I always like when Ohio State loses, so I'm going to become the big Hoosiers fan this weekend.
Wow, you're the second person today I've talked to who said they like when Ohio State loses.
Well, yeah, you know why? Okay, it's extremely simple to figure out. The Venn diagram is people that went to Ohio State want them to win.
Sure.
Everyone else wants them to lose because they're a bunch of assholes. So basically, they are the donut hole.
Why do you say that? Why are they? Why are they different than any other school?
So many reasons. I'll just leave you with this one.
Yeah.
They refer to themselves as the Ohio State. They put the in.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. Get fucked. That's my answer to them. I grew up in Michigan. I went to SC. There's no part of me that roots for Ohio State. They can all
I
just
got you.
lose.
Well, yeah, again, you're not alone. Anyway, the fun news is that Indiana this week has doubled down on Curt Cignetti, the coach, with an 8-year deal, $64 million contract, which is an average of $8 million annually, with an annual $1 million retention bonus for each year.
Okay.
The contract will run through 2032.
Yeah.
Cignetti was making $4.5 million a year before the new contract, which, by the way, wasn't set to expire anytime soon.
Do you know anybody in Indiana? Because I got somebody we could offload to them maybe if they need like an assistant coach or something. It'd be super cheap, just like $10 million a year.
Who you got?
I got this guy Lincoln.
At Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
USC faces UCLA Saturday at 7:30 p.m. I mentioned that one too. Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
His third year of a $100 million contract. That's more than Cignetti's getting.
I know.
USC is 5-5. Who made that deal?
I make fun of him mainly because I'm mildly frustrated. I still think Lincoln's a really good coach. I think there is a path ahead, although we have lost a whole bunch of recruits, I think, since they are 5-5.
They're decommitting.
If you're tracking a decommitting stat on your coaching team, that's a bad place to be. I'm going to watch Indiana mainly to watch them beat OSU, so please don't let me down this weekend.
I hope that happens. That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for all this nonsense. It's really terrible podcast from The Awful Company. Visit us on the web at nonsense.productions. I'm Still.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like it at Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, my favorite, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts from.
Nonsense uses SyncThing. Make sure you always have the latest versions of all your files on all your computers anywhere you are in the world. SyncThing does that effortlessly. Free and open source. Be sure to check out SyncThing. By the way, they're also not making copies of your data. Your data is encrypted and only you have copies of it. Special thanks to our floor director, Tony Von Pervier.
Thanks, TVP. We'll be every Thursday morning for more nonsense. Please join us. I'm in this bizarre state right now where people send me what I think are memes, and I don't even know if they're true or not. I'm like, is Shatner actually running NASA? I don't know. I have to look it up. I don't really know.